Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. In today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Now, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry has quite a fine reputation among the wizarding community. It's produced some of the most impressive witches and wizards, good and bad, and for centuries it has served the wizarding world. But how has Hogwarts served for such a long time? Why, that can be credited to the school's backbone, its professors. Without the professors of the wizarding world, young witches and wizards would be entirely left to their own devices. There would be a lot less order, far more stressed out parents, and a lot more homeschooling. Hogwarts gives students a place to be themselves, interact with other children, and truly tune in to their magical abilities. However, with all of that said, professors aren't perfect. They're people just like the rest of us, and they make mistakes in their personal and professional lives. On that note, today's video will discuss 5 mistakes made by 5 different Hogwarts professors in Harry Potter. The list will range from trivial mistakes to big no-nos. Without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. Quirrell. Before the school year started in the Philosopher's Stone, Quirrell, who taught Defense Against the Dark Arts to Harry in first year, went jet-setting off into the world. However, what no one knew, at least for most of the school year, was that Quirrell was possessed by Voldemort. Quirrell was an English half-blood wizard born sometime in the 1960s. When he was of age, he began attending Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, at which point he was sorted into Ravenclaw House. It wasn't very long after he himself had graduated that he was able to secure a job as Muggle Studies professor at Hogwarts. In the year 1990, Quirrell took a year-long sabbatical. He told his peers that the sabbatical was an opportunity for him to gain first-hand experience in the field, where in reality, his objective was to find Lord Voldemort. Exceedingly curious about what had happened to the Dark Lord who tyrannized the wizarding world for years on end. Quirrell always wanted to be noticed and acknowledged, and he felt that if he was the one to track down Lord Voldemort, then he could finally earn the attention that he longed for. However, after finally tracking Voldemort down, Quirrell was completely taken advantage of by Voldemort. Quirrell's biggest mistake here was finding Voldemort in the first place, foolishly thinking that he would be a match for him. Voldemort puts it nicely. A wizard, young, foolish, and gullible, wandered across my path in the forest I had made my home. Oh, he seemed the very chance I'd been dreaming of. 2. Slughorn. Horace Slughorn is a British wizard with a long history at Hogwarts School. He taught for many years, serving as head of Southern House, as well as potions master. Slughorn left Hogwarts for 15 years, for reasons I'll get into in a minute, but did eventually return where he picked up where he left off and began teaching potions again. However, the reason that Slughorn left Hogwarts in the first place directly relates to his big mistake, telling Tom Riddle about Horcruxes. In The Half-Blood Prince, when Dumbledore is showing Harry Slughorn's memories, an interaction between Slughorn and a young Tom Riddle is revealed. At first, they only had part of the memory, an incomplete, tampered version, but later the truth comes out. I was in the library the other night, in the restricted section, and I read something rather odd about a bit of rare magic. It's called, as I understand it, I beg your pardon, a Horcrux. I came across the term while reading, and I didn't fully understand it. I'm not sure what you were reading, Tom, but this is very dark stuff. Very dark indeed. Which is why I came to you. A Horcrux is an object in which a person has concealed part of their soul. Slughorn's mistake in this scene is about as big of a mistake as one could make, as he effectively, though inadvertently, set Tom on his path of creating his most dangerous weapon, his Horcruxes. 3. Dumbledore. This big mistake pertains to Albus Dumbledore, powerful wizard, Hogwarts professor, and most notably, Hogwarts headmaster. Dumbledore is often painted as this all-knowing, omniscient type, but as it turns out, he too makes mistakes, just like the rest of us, and his big mistake occurred in the 1994 school year. When the school year began, like with any other year, all of the students gathered to the Great Hall at the beginning of term. This was an opportunity for Dumbledore and any professors to address the student body at the beginning of the year announcing anything pertaining to the upcoming school year. And it was 1994 that, once again, a new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher took over, famed Death Eater captor Alistair Mad Eye Moody. Moody was a good guy, a famous Dark Wizard captor, but there was something off about this Moody that no one seemed to really notice. "May I introduce our new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher," said Dumbledore brightly into the silence. "Professor Moody." But here's the thing, it wasn't actually Moody. Before term started, Moody was captured by Barty Crouch Jr., a British pure-blood wizard and Death Eater. Crouch Jr. trapped Moody in his own magical trunk and then impersonated him via Polyjuice Potion for nearly an entire term, successfully teaching defense against the dark arts in questionable fashion. But how did the ever-wise and all-knowing Dumbledore miss this? How could he let a Death Eater imposter infiltrate the school? In effect, Dumbledore's biggest mistake was simply not noticing, and it's a hard one to let slide, particularly as Dumbledore was meant to be a good friend of Moody. 4. Snape. Severus Snape was a half-blood wizard who taught multiple subjects at Hogwarts. He started off as Potions Master, where he taught for 15 years, then assumed the Professor for Defense Against the Dark Arts role in 1996. He would also later become headmaster of the school before his untimely death. Snape was certainly a peculiar fellow and one of the prominent grey characters in the series. He was also extremely calculated and intelligent, tricking Voldemort as a double agent for a considerable amount of time. So what mistake, you might be wondering now, did Severus Snape make? Well, it all relates to the fabled prophecy. This is the same prophecy that prompted Voldemort to travel to the Potter residence in an attempt to kill Harry. But what prompted Voldemort's actions? Why, Snape, of course. You see, while Trelawney relayed the prophecy to Dumbledore in the Hogshead Inn, Snape was there as well, and he heard nearly the whole thing. Snape, a Death Eater at the time, then immediately relayed this information to Voldemort, inadvertently resulting in the death of his love interest, Lily Potter. I'd say this was a pretty big mistake on Snape's part. 5. Hagrid. Hagrid, aka Rubeus Hagrid, is a half-giant, half-wizard that attended Hogwarts in his younger years, though he did not graduate due to events pertaining to Tom Riddle and the Chamber of Secrets. However, after being kicked out of the school, he did assume the role of Keeper of Keys and Grounds, working under someone else at first, and he also eventually ended up teaching, becoming Professor for the Care of Magical Creatures. So what mistake did the lovable half-giant make? Well, this one's going to sound considerably less impactful than the others, but in essence, Hagrid's main mistakes surround carelessness with students and magical creatures. In his very first lesson, there was an incident involving Draco Malfoy and a hippogriff that ended up turning into a total mess. Hagrid also bred blast-ended Skrewts and openly exposed students to them, which is certainly questionable given how dangerous they are. Hagrid is a great man, but sometimes his judgment was questionable. And that's it for this video. Honourable mentions go out to Lockhart for letting Cornish pixies loose, and Lupin for forgetting to take his Wolfsbane potion. If you enjoy the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.